Hey there. Now I know what you're thinking. The house is looking beautiful. You've had it for a week and a couple hours now, and it looks amazing. Now, a lot of people might stop here. They might look and just go, the outside of the house looks beautiful. We'll just stop right there, but we'll never let anybody inside the house. And maybe we won't live there ourselves. Maybe we'll stay at an Airbnb, which I don't know if an Airbnb is any different than a United States bee, American bee, but I don't know, either way. So some people would stop here and just be like, oh, well, it looks good enough. A roof, we'll just take better pictures and we'll have filters on it. We're gonna go and put the roof on, and we're gonna finish the inside. I think this is an important lesson for us with our heart and with our lives. A lot of times people just go, look, I did the thing. I said the prayer, I'm done, right? Like, well, you started, that's good. Now it's time to keep going and like do the work. And I'm not saying you're saved by works. Please don't say that. But we do need to do work in our lives. We need to clean the yuck out, which we've been doing. We've got 4 dumpsters full already, and we're gonna have to get another one. And then you have to like do the work and get the materials and do the things. Now, God provides, right? Like my workers don't have to worry about like, I wonder if John's gonna pay for it. I will, it's fine. It's part of the thing. But it's important that we clean the inside of ourselves too, and not just put on a facade, which I think a lot of people do. It gives a bad image to everybody. So anyway, we're gonna go eat because we're hungry. So perhaps you're thinking, I would like to learn some stuff about plumbing, but rather than learning things that you should do, this episode, I'm going to teach you things you shouldn't do. For example, maybe you've got some now remember earlier I was talking about the cast iron? This is technically galvanized, but you can see the yuck that's in there. It'd be hard for water to get through there. Can you see that? It's nasty, right? Now, somebody probably had a leak at some point and they went, ooh, you know what we should do? We'll just put this rubber thing on there. That'll fix it. But that didn't work. So they're like, oh, you know what usually fixes leaks? And I don't know where this logic comes from. Aluminum foil. Aluminum foil will fix it. And they're like, no, maybe packaging tape. And they're like, no, let's just put all the packaging tape. My guess is it still leaks. So if you're wondering like, how do I not do plumbing? That's just one example. There's so many other ones, I'm sure. We'll find them and we'll show you. All right, well, hey there. Now today, we did a lot of stuff. It's kind of loud still. We got both septic tanks cleaned out on both these houses. Both the roofs torn off, redecked and roofed back on. It's almost, you can hear them up there. Okay. We also got this floor taken out so that we can jack this up and level it off, which is great. And we got all the old plumbing out, okay? And there was definitely some like, this is what not to do with your plumbing kind of things. We didn't show you all of it because it just gets boring after a while. Just assume literally everything was done wrong. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about the fact that the Tin Man wanted a heart throughout the entire Wizard of Oz. He really, really wanted a heart. But at the end of the movie, he had a heart. He had a bigger heart than anybody. He really cared. And I think a lot of times, the thing that we think is our biggest weakness might be our biggest strength, right? So I was in a movie called Washington's Armor like 2 years ago, and it's out there. You can go watch it. It's fun. I've got a small part like this big. But George Washington in the movie, somebody accused him of basically kind of being a peasant. Like, you're less than us, you're lower class, whatever. And I remember I was in a scene with him, and he said that I realized that I wasn't educated well, and so every day I make an effort to be more educated so that I can catch up with everybody else. But the truth is, he had far exceeded everybody else. And I think a lot of times that happens with us too. Like, the thing that you think is your weakness ends up being, sorry. Alan likes to be quiet, and when he does, he's loud. We love Alan. Alan is the greatest. He is so smart. Here's a good example, okay? When Alan was young, can I tell the story?
I don't know.
When Alan was young, people accused him of not being smart. And I don't know if he did it in spite of them or just because he was already ridiculously smart, but Alan knows everything about everything. And I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes I exaggerate about 500% of the time. But Alan knows so much. Like, you could literally look at anything in the world, Alan would be, well, I'll tell you what that is, John. That's a 1947 fill in the blank, whatever. And the way that happened and the history of that was and the way that you fix it is, and all you got to do is, and I'm just like this, like he makes me feel stupid. Alan, you make me feel stupid.
Whatever, John.
But I love it because you're so smart. And I think that all the time we have these conversations and Alan's just like, I'm not that smart, John. And I'm like, but you are. You got the biggest heart of all, Tin Man. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Oh, hey there. So I've not made a lot of videos today because we've been busy all day and it's hard to do both. All right, so I want to show you guys this. Under here is a septic tank, okay? Right there, that's the hole to the septic tank. In case you need to, that's right here, okay? In case you need to take that out, then you can suck it out, which we did, not personally, but a company had a big elephant snout. Then from there, we went ahead and put in all new PVC because it had this stuff here. See this bell? This is underwhelming, looks like a clay pot or something like that. It's not great. And then all that stuff was cracked and a mess, so we just went ahead and put all new PVC. So we went into it, and then we made a sleeve, and we poured concrete around that. Drew did, and then from there we went with 4-inch PVC up here. We did what's called a double clean out. Now let me tell you why we do this, okay? Let's say you got a problem with your sewer and it's stopped up. You unscrew this, unscrew this, and then you run a snake down it, okay? And it goes right there to the septic tank. And then you can unscrew here and snake it that way. And then all your problems will be solved. So that's that. And then we tapped into our main water line coming in. We're gonna put a valve box right there. And so that's great, and that feeds the whole house. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say what everybody else is thinking. And that is that if the people that run QT and Chick-fil-A would run for office, I would vote for the first time in my life. Could you imagine our country like, wow, we're actually turning a profit? Not that the government needs to turn a profit, but you know, we're not in a tremendous deficit. We're not sinking quickly into the quicksand. It's clean, it's efficient, people are friendly. I'm just like, those people need to be in charge. The people that are in charge right now, 2 thumbs way down. I'm not impressed. Okay, there. So, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, explain to me how plumbing works and why it works, okay? So I'm gonna do that real quick because not everybody knows. So not everywhere do you have something that's just like such a good example of how this happens. So on the other side of the house we showed you, the plumbing comes in, okay? Then we put what's called a combination, or a combi. So this is a 3-3-2 combi right here, okay? Which means it's a 3-inch and a 3-inch, and then it comes out a 2-inch. Then we come up and we go into this pipe. This is gonna be where our kitchen sink is right here, okay? This is called a sanitary T. This is a 2 to 2.5 because it comes out 1.5 inches. Now, imagine that you got sewer gas, the stink, out of that septic tank that's right on the other side of this wall. And you're like, I don't wanna smell that, but there's a pipe that comes right up here to your house. And you're like, oh, you're gonna smell that unless we have a P-trap, okay? So a P-trap means that it comes down and comes up, and water stays in that P-trap. So now this bad gas has to come up and go down underneath through water and then back up into your sink or whatever the appliance is to smell, okay? Which it will do unless it can vent out through your roof, okay? So this will be a sink, and this is a vent so that the stinky air stays out. Now, we did another combi here. This is a 3-3-2 combi. This is gonna go to the bathtub, which we haven't done yet because, to be honest with you, we ran out of time on planning to show tonight. Then this is a 3-3-3 combi, okay, which means it's a 3-inch up here as well. And then we come up to the toilet hole, okay? Then we got a 3-3-2. That comes up to this sink that's gonna be in the bathroom. Same story, we vent out, right? Every plumbing appliance, be it sink, bathtub, whatever, toilet, all has a P-trap in it. The toilet has the P-trap built into the toilet itself. Sinks have it underneath. Tubs and showers have it underneath the house, okay? Whether that be in your slab or your pyramid. From there, we reduced down from a 3-inch to a 2-inch, and then we went over here to, you can see there's a washing machine box, okay? And you can see where the P-trap is on the washing machine box. So we're vented out through the roof, but then we've got that P-trap, and so when water comes down, then the stinky air is not gonna come back up. So I feel like you guys have learned how drains work now, and that's a very simple thing. You got your septic tank, so that would be the sewer if you're on city sewer, and then that comes up, and then we just tee off to all the appliances, and that's pretty easy. Now you want it to have a long sweep, okay? And what that means is if you've got solid waste, poop, going down, you don't want it to be like tight turn, because sometimes, let's be honest, some of us are elephants in that area. And so we want to have something that flows nice and easy, woof, and it swooshes down, a long sweep rather than a short sweep, okay? So a short would be very tight, but it's called like a street elbow, or whatever. Or a long sweep has more of a place for it to go. And when you have a T, you want the T to go, I'll show you. You want this to go in this direction. You can see how it's flowing this direction, and the flow's going down. Whenever you're going up into the attic, if you have to bring two things together, then you want the flow to be going up so that the air can go up out through the stink pipe. So hopefully you learned something. I'm gonna go play a show. Love you guys. So Miguel and his guys did amazing things yesterday. And by that I mean he tore off 3 layers of shingles. Okay, there was very old composition asphalt shingles, then there was another layer of that, then there was wood shingles underneath that, and then there was just rotted garbage. So he took all that off and filled 2 dumpsters or whatever, dump trailers, and then redecked everything, which means put new plywood on it, and then put on all these shingles and the ice and water and the felt and everything, and did that roof over there, which you can't really see very well, and did that roof over there, which you also can't see very well. And they did all that in a day. And I was like, this, impressive. So what I've been thinking about a lot is that if you are slack in the time of distress, your strength is limited. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying for you to go around when everything's good and be like, look how strong I am, look how tough I am. I'm like, that's nice. But whenever bad things happen, if you immediately cave, if you're just a glass jaw, you know, you see these big tough guys. And when I was younger, I got in a lot of fights, like a lot of fights. I went to 22 schools in 22 states, and I was the new guy. And so these big guys would come up, you want some of this, you want some of this. And for a while, I didn't really fight back. And then I had a stepdad who was like, if you don't beat them up real bad, then I'm gonna beat you up real bad. And I was like, I'd rather fight this big kid than my Marine stepdad. So anyway, I got to the point where I realized this big dude that everybody's afraid of, everybody's been afraid of him his whole life. He's never actually fought anybody. And when it comes down to it, if I just hit him real hard, he's done. And so there's a lot of times where we look at our enemy and we think they're so much bigger than us. But if you'll actually kind of dig your heels in and fight a little bit, you might realize that they're not as tough as you think. And maybe it's time to like give it another shot. All right, love you guys. Oh, hey there. So most of my life, I've heard people complain and they say, I don't want to go to church because there are hypocrites there. You're right, there are. Do you know where else there are hypocrites? Literally everywhere that you go. But nobody talks about that, okay? There are hypocrites at bars. There are hypocrites at your work. There are hypocrites in grocery stores. There are hypocrites on TV and on the news. There are hypocrites in sports. Actors are hypocrites, but you do all those things. I think that what makes hypocrisy so offensive in Christianity is because you want to believe that it's true, and if they don't live the life that you believe that they should live, then that means it's not really true. And that's offensive because that's your salvation. And nobody likes being lied to. I don't like being lied to. When I first got saved, I was like, you know what? I don't trust anybody. And I still don't. And so I went and read the Bible for myself, cover to cover, many times. Then I went to Israel myself and went and looked. I went to Turkey and I went to Greece, and I took Paul's whole second journey, and I went and I looked for myself because I don't trust anybody, and it's too important for me to just leave it in somebody else's hands. And so early on, I decided I don't want to let somebody else's hypocrisy turn me into a hypocrite. Because if I'm over here saying, you're a hypocrite, therefore I'm not going to go to church because somehow I'm better than you, kind of in a way, I'm becoming a hypocrite too. And I don't think that that's what God wants us to do. I think that if I was the devil and there was one way to heaven, I would put out a whole bunch of decoys that looked like the same thing, that were really bad examples, that made people like to put a bad taste in their mouth. And I think that's what the devil does. And so I think it's time to get right with God. I think it's time to say, I'm not going to let anybody else stand in the way of my salvation. It's time to come home. It's time to get right with God. Love you guys. Oh, hey there. So a friend of mine had a dog, and the dog got its tail caught in a door, and it completely lost its tail. And it was sad, and we had to take it to the retail store to get a new tail. All right, now, my whole life I've heard people say, Man, back then they knew how to build houses, and I've heard it my entire life. And every time I tear one of these houses apart, I'm like, really? Because it doesn't look like it to me. Let me show you a good example. You see this? Now, this is not great wiring, right? This is the old crumbly stuff. It just kind of disintegrates in your hands. It's gross. Puts marks on your hands and stuff. Also, it's just this big mess of electrical wire. There's no wire nuts or anything like that. Not in a junction box, just stuck in a wall. It was pinched up between two studs. You know, and the problem with electricity, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's got to have a good flow, because if it gets kinked up, it's like a water hose, and so then the electricity won't flow through that very well. Alan's left. And so you just got to cut it off. You know, just cut it off. Very good. Hopefully you guys learned something. Oh, hey, take a look. We've done a bunch of stuff. We got heat and air coming in. All the plumbing is done underneath. All this plumbing is done. We got the bathtub in. We got all the subfloor fixed. We jacked up all the foundation and raised that up. We got all the vent pipes sticking out. It's amazing. Oh, hey there. So I haven't made a lot of videos today. This is the first one and the day's over because we've been busy all day. Now we got all the electrical done over there. We got to put in 3 more breakers, but they're already run. It's just a matter of hooking them up and snapping them in. It's easy. Now James has been out here and he's been working hard. He tore down that building and Alan helped him. He tore down that building. 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 And they were all garbage. And so we have transformed those buildings into energy in this black pile over here that's not smoking because we put the fire out because we're responsible citizens. Smokey the Bear came by and he was like, only you can prevent forest fires. I'm like, I feel like everybody could. He goes, nope, only you. You're the only one who can prevent them. I'm like, well, I'm not doing my job. Anyway, so here's what we noticed. A lot of times people are like, I don't know if there's gonna be enough time to do all the things that God needs me to do. Let me tell you how it works. You go pray, you go out to battle. You don't go pray and hide in a hole. You go pray and you go do what he tells you to do. And then you know what happens? Like, as soon as the ark's built, then the animals start coming, and as soon as all the last animal's in, the door closes and the rain starts. And that's how it works. But you gotta do your part 100% of the time. Don't be like, la-di-da, I guess it'll, you know, I'm not a procrastinator. Alan, what am I? Anti-crastinator. I'm an anti-crastinator, so join me in anti-crastinating. We're gonna go have dinner. Bye. Oh, hey there. So today we insulated the house. So if you remember, this house was like chest deep in garbage, and we got rid of all that, and then we cleaned everything up, and we took all the walls out, and there was no insulation to take out, so we didn't have to do that. We did all new plumbing, if you remember, all the way to the septic tank. We got all new PEX coming from the street. We did all a new breaker box and all new wiring. We got a whole new heat and air system, and then we fixed whatever framing needed to be fixed. We did all new siding, new windows, and a new roof, and we painted the outside. And then we had to fix a bunch of the floor and kind of jack that up and raise it up, and then we fixed all that. And we cleaned it all up, and then we insulated, and now we're ready for sheetrock. So they're supposed to come, Billy and Sharon Feaster's people are supposed to come tomorrow. That's Be Fast Drywall. And then we will start working on the house next door. So that's very exciting. And normally we do spray foam, but this is an affordable house. And so on affordable houses, sometimes, you know, you can't afford luxury things. So somebody's gonna get a nice house that's, everything's new. Now, a lot of times, you know, people are like, they keep hacking away at something and then they wonder why it keeps growing back, and it's because you got to get the root, right? So if you look and you're like, oh, we chopped the top of it off, you're like, well, the root's still there and it's going to grow back. And so what we did is we cut the root out of this thing, all the evil that was here, we took it out and we made it new, and then it's good for all the way from the root. And so we're very, very excited about that. So we will see you soon. Oh, hey there. So we're on the twin houses. If you see over there, there's the gray house that we've been working on. We're waiting on sheetrock over there, and so now we're back over to this house. And on this house, this is the septic tank, right? And it's got these 2 half circles for the lid. And then everything else was like clay pipe and cast iron. It had roots all the way up in, like the roots came all the way through all this stuff and into the toilet, and so nothing was draining. So we're gonna put all new PVC. So let me just show you a quick couple things on how that works. We're coming into the septic tank, and then where it meets, we'll pour concrete around that. This is called a double clean out, okay? And the reason why you have this, if there's a clog, which there probably won't be with PVC, you can run a snake, you can unscrew a thing and have a snake that runs down here, or have a snake that goes down all the way into the into the septic tank, and that will help to clean out things. That's why it's called a clean out. Now, I've got an idea for you. If you're like, I don't want to work hard like you, John, that's fine. Here's my suggestion. Go get a philosophy degree, and then you can ask people, do you want fries with that? Oh, hey there. So, perhaps you're thinking, I love fried food, and I don't want to take care of myself or exercise. No worries, I applaud that. But, I do want to show you something. This is the inside of the cast iron pipe, okay? Now imagine that this is your artery, but then you got all this yuck in there, and then you're like, why do I have high blood pressure? That's why you have high blood pressure. Is this a good picture for you? Also, this is why we replace cast iron pipes, because it starts to corrode and rust on the inside. And this is, I don't want to touch it, but right there is where it should be, but it's closed in to that smaller hole. And this actually isn't even that bad, but it's difficult to kind of see through that, if you can. Yeah, gross, right? So that's one example. Here's another smaller pipe, but this is stuff that was hanging. And so that means it's not going to be as corroded. The stuff in the dirt is much worse. It just, Alan said he hit it with a hammer and the whole thing just crumbled. So if you want your inside pipes to look like that, keep eating that. Love you guys. As usual, Billy and Sharon Feaster's guys came in here and tore it up. So they hung all the sheetrock today and left early. And you know, sheetrock didn't get delivered till, I don't know, 12:52, and they were done by 12:56 or something like that. So pretty impressive guys, and they're gonna take them back tomorrow. Now, in the other house, we were doing other things. I'll try to show you that here in a second. I'm gonna go look at buying another flip house. But you guys know I'm dealing with stuff with my dad, and sometimes that's painful to watch, right? But here's something else that's painful to watch. Have you ever seen a butterfly and a caterpillar goes in its cocoon and it like turns into mush, and you're like, there's nothing recognizable, and then it puts itself back together, and then it emerges. Now look, if it starts coming out of its cocoon, you're like, oh, poor little thing, let me help you. Let me get your little butterfly wings all unrolled. You look like you're in such pain. But if you do that, they will never fly, because they're part of that coming out of the cocoon and going through all that pain makes them strong, makes them be able to fly. And so oftentimes we're like, man, I want to help you. But the problem is that the person has to learn to do it. They have to go through the struggle, right? That's a hard lesson. But anyway, we're going through the struggle on this one, and this is going to be a beautiful house. We're very excited. So love you guys. See you later. Bye. Oh, hey there. So today we did a lot. Okay, we got all the plumbing underneath here done, all the PEX done. That was great. We tied in the water heater. That was great. We redid all the kitchen stuff, which is great. We dealt with the washer and dryer, and we shimmed all this back up and made it sturdy, and then did all the floor. We got the bathtub in and the shower faucet in, and other things. Okay, and Alan was amazing as always, and James was amazing as always. I was moody, as not that always, but still sometimes happens. And I apologize. Alan says thumbs down. He's not happy with me. Nevertheless, I deserve that. I've had a lot on my mind. So,
but he's happy at the end of the day.
I am happy at the end of the day. We got a lot done, and that does make me happy. Oh, hey there. So, a lot of products these days are next gen. Now, let me tell you what that means. They had something they were doing for a long time, and then they changed it up, and they're like, we can make it even better. Like the other day, they had next gen insulation, and it tasted like cotton candy, and I tasted it, I was like, this is unbelievable. It tastes like cotton candy. But they don't sell a lot of previous gen stuff. But I today am selling you previous gen products. Okay, this is furniture or lumber or anything that you want it to be, okay? But it's previous gen. It's like IKEA, but before IKEA, okay? So you got to put it together yourself. There's a lot of assembly required, but it's pre-gen, and that sounds cooler, I think. So anyway, give me a call, and I'll get you hooked up with this previous gen furniture. So this is the second twin of the twin houses. Now, I don't know which one was born first, but if I was a twin, I would say to my twin all the time, you know, when I was your age, and then I would tell them what I did like 5 or 7 minutes earlier. And then they'd be like this, the twin thing again, huh? And I'd be like, Anyway, so we got the one twin house next door, and they're tape and bedding right now. I'll show you that in a second. They is one guy. It's Billy and Sharon's guy. I don't know what his name is, because I'm always like, hey man, I'm John. He's like, that's okay. I'm like, whatever. But in this house, We redid all the plumbing from the septic tank, and we brought it in all new packs, which is great. We did some wiring, and James was up in the attic, and he loved it. The whole time was like, you hear him grumbling, that's his happy grumble.
It's cotton candy.
Yeah, James never grumbles unless it's like this. What a happy memory. So we had to build this wall so we can put a washer dryer combo in there, and you can see it in the background. And then we redid all the stuff in the kitchen. We're ready to do that. So we got sheetrock up today. I got tape bed up. Alan's in here working. Let's go see what Alan looks like. He's like magic. Look at this. Show him how it's done, Alan.
Are you filming?
Yes.
Man, don't. If you want to be a professional sheetrocker, don't follow me.
Are you getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Then you're a professional. Moving on. Okay, let's go over here.
Word.
Yep. Don't think about it too hard. All right, so today is the Thursday before Good Friday. Now, tomorrow and the next day, I'm going to be a Roman soldier named Decimus in a live immersive experience called Crimson. Okay, and we are going to be marching Jesus down the street as he's carrying his cross, and it's difficult for me to do the scene because I have to be really mean and heartless, but I think it's a really moving scene for people. Now, what's interesting is that when Jesus was born, it was bright as day at midnight because the star was there above Bethlehem. But upon his death, it was as black as midnight at noon, because when he died, the sky grew black and the temple veil was ripped from top to bottom and was torn in two, and the whole world changed at that point because we killed God. Now, of course, he rose again. There's a deeper magic. But that is what Easter's all about. It's not about bunnies. Love you guys. All right. Oh, hey there. So, they hung sheetrock yesterday in one day, like magicians, like very fast magicians. Today, one guy has done all this tape embedding throughout the whole house, and now he's just on outside corners, which is like, so this is an outside corner, and then that's an inside corner, because it's the inside, and then you're on the outside. That's how that works. And he is amazing and hardworking, and he's done lots of these jobs for me before, and every time I'm just like, what a great guy. I love it. So, sometimes you have greater needs in your life, and then you're thinking, but God has only provided this much so far, but I need this much. Never fear. God's provisions are always greater than what your needs are. So they will meet or exceed whatever your needs are. And if you're thinking, I heard somebody ask Billy Graham one time, they said, do you think you have the grace to be a martyr? And he goes, I don't know. I think that if God calls me to be a martyr, he'll give me the grace to be a martyr. But today, God has called me to speak to this crowd, and he's given me the grace to do that. And I think that's a good lesson in life. I think that oftentimes we're trying to go, well, will God provide? He's provided for you every other step of the way. Why wouldn't he do that now, right? So if you are wondering, like, will God provide in this next season of my life? Yes, he will. So rest easy. All right, love you guys.